Hey there. Ready for another deep dive with us? Today we've got two sources that offer some pretty different perspectives on spiritual living. Like
Yeah.
how to kind of balance the inner peace stuff with, actually being in the world.
Yeah, a lot of people are struggling to find that balance.
Right. So the first one we're looking at is this article, Spiritual Gangster. How to become one and what it means. I mean, that title alone.
Yeah, it definitely catches your
It
attention.
makes you think twice about who a spiritual seeker is, right? Like, it's not all meditation and incense anymore.
Right, there's this kind of edge to it.
Exactly. This blend of inner peace with, I don't know, almost like a warrior spirit. The article talks about resilience, being strong when things get rough.
It's about more than just being nice, right?
Yeah, it's about self-awareness, emotional toughness,
Yeah.
not letting setbacks, completely derail you.
It seems to really resonate with people who want to, I don't know, do the inner work, but also be effective out there in the real world.
Totally. It's like the article talks about how a spiritual gangster sees setbacks as opportunities for growth, not just failures.
Yeah, there's a quote, something like, they see setbacks as growth opportunities rather than failures. It's about using challenges to learn.
I love that because let's be real, life is full of those curveballs, right? So to thrive in the middle of that, that's pretty powerful stuff. Does that resonate with you at all?
Absolutely. It's like you don't want to just escape reality. You want to engage with it, but
Yeah.
from this place of, mindfulness and strength.
You're not just surviving, you're thriving. And I think a lot of people drawn to spirituality are looking for that. Not just the internal stuff, but how to live it.
It's about integrating those principles
Yeah.
into your daily life.
For sure. Okay, now for something totally different. A Course in Miracles, ASAM. We've got a video summary breaking down the main ideas.
It's a classic text that's been around for a while now, but it's got a really unique perspective.
All right, so here's the big idea, and this is where things get kind of mind-bending. Atheism basically says this world, everything we experience, it's an illusion, a dream.
Exactly. Like we've forgotten our true nature as spiritual beings,
Hmm.
created by God. We're so caught up in this dream of being separate individuals that we've lost sight of our inherent wholeness, our connection to the divine.
Wow. Okay, so if it is all a dream, then what? Like, what's the point according to ACM?
Well, there's this quote from the video that really stood out to me. God would be mocked if any of his creations lacked holiness. It's a powerful statement about, the good that's within each of us, despite what we might see in this dream. It really makes you think, doesn't it? Like if we're all these perfect beings deep down, why is there so much mess out there?
Yeah.
Suffering, conflict,
Right. If it's all one big divine dream, how does all that bad stuff fit in?
Well, that's where forgiveness comes in. In ACM, it's not just about letting go of grudges. It's about seeing through that illusion of separation, remembering that everyone is still that perfect, holy being
Right,
at their core.
So, like, even when someone does something hurtful, you're saying ACM wants us to see past that, to that divine spark that's still there.
Exactly. It's not about condoning bad actions, but it's about choosing to see beyond them, to that truth of who we really are, both ourselves and the other person.
It's a huge shift in perspective for sure. And it makes me think of the spiritual gangster and how they talk about forgiveness too, though. Seems like a different angle.
You're right. Their focus is more on that emotional resilience, not letting negativity drag you down, letting go of attachment to outcomes.
It's like, yeah, bad stuff happens. People mess up. But you don't have to let it, like, consume you.
It's about owning your own inner state. You
Yeah.
can't control what others do, but you can choose how you react.
When you put it like that, I can see how both these ideas about forgiveness relate. They both kind of help us move on from difficult stuff, but in different ways, I guess. It makes me wonder, though, like, have you ever really struggled to forgive someone? Or even yourself?
Well, absolutely. Forgiveness is a practice. It's not just a one-time thing. It's a choice we make over and over.
Mhm.
Sometimes it comes easily. Sometimes it takes real work to shift your perspective.
But what helps you when you're stuck in those tough emotions? How do you move through that?
For me, meditation has been huge. Just learning to observe those thoughts and feelings without judgment and mindfulness.
Yeah.
Trying to bring that awareness into everyday moments.
You know what's funny? I've been trying something kind of similar. It's this loving kindness meditation where you send good vibes to yourself, then to someone you love, then a neutral person, and eventually even to someone you find difficult. It sounds cheesy, but it's helped me see people differently.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And it really speaks to the heart of what we're talking about, whether it's the radical forgiveness of Asim or the resilience of the spiritual gangster. It's recognizing that holding on to anger only hurts us in the end.
It keeps us tracked, doesn't it? But yeah,
Yeah.
okay, we've talked a lot about forgiveness, which is huge in both these sources, but how do we actually live this stuff? Like, what are some practical ways to put these ideas into action?
That's the key question, isn't it? Well, Ace even talks about this idea of miracles.
Yeah.
And it's not what you might think, like parting the sea or something.
Yeah.
It's about simple acts of love and kindness that can, I don't know, shift things,
Yeah.
bring healing.
So, like, even something small, holding a door, giving a genuine compliment, those could be miracles.
Yeah.
Like, just those everyday moments where you can bring in a little more love, you know?
Okay.
And it's funny how that connects with the spiritual gangster stuff, too.
Huh.
They're all about acts of kindness, living with purpose. It's almost like these two paths, they come at it so differently, but they end up pointing us in the same direction.
It is interesting how they come together, right? It's not
Mhm.
just about meditating on a mountaintop. It's about taking that spirituality and like bringing it into the world.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, ASM talks about this idea of special function. It's the idea that everyone has a unique role to play.
Okay, now I'm really curious. Special function, like, how do you even figure out what yours is?
Right. Well, it's not so much about having some big predetermined purpose,
Yeah.
It's more about like looking at your strengths, your passions, and then figuring out how to use those to help others.
So it's not about finding some cosmic plan. It's about what makes you come alive and then sharing that with the world.
Exactly. It's about that spark inside you and letting it shine. The cool thing is everyone's special function is different. So when we all come together, it creates something amazing.
I love that. It's like we all have a piece of the puzzle, right? And when we share our unique gifts, the whole picture becomes clearer.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
Both AC and the spiritual gangster idea, they encourage us to like step into that role, not just sit back and watch, but actually be a part of making things better.
This has been so great. We've explored these two paths, and they seem so different on the surface. The spiritual gangster, all about resilience, ASIM, this whole mind-bending dream idea. But they both come back to these big themes, forgiveness, love, and this idea that we can create a better world.
Yeah, it shows how these different perspectives can actually work together. It gives us a richer understanding of what it means to live a spiritual life, especially today in the world we live in.
So to wrap things up, I gotta ask, if this world is a dream, like ASIM says, how would that change how you live your life? Would you act differently, see challenges differently?
And thinking about everything we've talked about, what little act of kindness, what miracle could you offer today? Remember, it doesn't have to be huge. Even a small gesture can make a difference.
This is just the start, folks. Keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep shining your light. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.